All right, we are live with Ministry Matters. This is our big report on Costa Rica. We went on a mission trip and I brought some people in just so you could hear about it. People have been asking what happened there, what things were done. And I want the guests to actually introduce themselves and where did you go on mission and what's your name?
Ryan Johnston, and we went to Costa Rica.
My name's Ryan Stenderup, and we went to Costa Rica.
My name is John Vasquez, and I went to Costa Rica.
All right. And our special guest, I just want to intro with this part because we had a Bible study. We've had this Bible study for 5 years on Friday, and we're studying the Word, and God had to have sent him to that Bible study. I mean, we've had pastors roll in there, and that was my first mission trip since I was a teenager, and then you go in there. You want to tell them who you are?
Yes, my name is Per Akvist. I'm Swedish, but lived in Ethiopia. I'm a crusade evangelist, a missionary. Been in Ethiopia for 20 years.
Wow.
And I'm connected with some church ministry here. And hey, I was out on a bike ride.
Yeah.
I needed a drink and used the bathroom.
That's awesome.
And I walk into Starbucks and I see you guys sitting there with the Bible open. I go like, hey, that must be something.
Yeah. And it's cool because, like, I love what you said, too. You're like, some people think there's no Christians in California. I was like,
Yeah, I have some friends in Kentucky. They go like, do you have believers over there?
Believe me, people are like, well, you live in California. How do you do that? And I go, well, it's my mission trip. It's my mission, right?
Yeah.
That's kind of my mission. But we went to Costa Rica, and I will tell you, I'm not a missions pastor, but I 100% believe that God wanted us there. Just like you were there on Friday. And when we showed up there, it was not the funnest thing ever. But we had some big highlights that happened on that trip. So if you
Like
guys,
our bunk beds? Or what?
yeah, we won't talk about the bunk beds.
8-hour drive.
I think missions are supposed to have suffering in them. Like you said, did you have AC? I was like, yeah, we had
One
AC. But
We don't have very much of that in Africa, you know.
no, oh man, I'm out. Not
I'm
going
out. I
to
know you
Africa.
said it first, but that marked the box for me.
Gosh, and that's
Where
wild.
we're
So let's share with them some of your highlights. We'll start with you, Ryan. What's a highlight moment that just stuck out to you?
When the work began, when we got to actually work with tools, and then getting on the roofs, doing the roofing, the ceilings, and it was just, even though it was humid, so we were sweating.
Yeah.
But that part of it, there was just something about working with your hands and serving other people. That's the best highlight you could have.
And just like, do you often get on roofs?
No.
Do you? Hang on.
A chicken coop,
Do you
maybe.
like being on the roof?
No, I'm afraid of heights. So, like, deathly afraid of heights.
That's so wild.
When he
I
sent me
remember
the picture, I was like, he's on the roof. All right.
No, we were lining up, and everyone's like, all right, we're going to send these people here, and then it was, I think, me, Paul, and John, and they were like, all right, someone's got to get on the roof, and I was like, oh, I
Little
gotta,
guy.
I gotta go. I gotta sacrifice and go.
And it wasn't the most sturdiest roof either.
Oh, no,
Yeah.
you're talking, like, 2x4s, like, only a few of them, and it's like
Just
a
enough.
5-foot gap between that, so I'm only 5'5", so I have to,
That's
like,
so
stretch
good.
my feet out just to not fall through the roof. And then once you put the new roofing on, it was glaring off the sun. So
It was bacon.
It was bacon.
It was
up
bacon.
There,
All right. Ryan Stendrup, tell him what's your highlight?
So, I'll be honest. When the work began, I ran. I went shopping. No.
Hang on. Let's clarify this.
That's a mission trip.
So, I believe God has people in places for different things, and I was used to go and
His gift.
my gift was to go and bless some of the community with some items such as furniture but I met this boy, and the highlight of my trip, and we could talk about it later, is getting the opportunity. There was this little boy who was 6 years old, and he had a sister, and the sister sells plantains out of her bicycle that she rides around through the community. So some other brothers and I, we went into town and we were shopping for items, and I got a chance to purchase a mountain bike for this little boy, and some of the other guys also pitched in and got a new beach cruiser for the girl with the basket,
Yeah.
so she's able to sell plantains out of the basket. So like my highlight throughout this whole trip, I'm sure we're going to talk about later in another question, is this little boy. Adial was his name, and oh my
Well
gosh,
said, man.
I just
You nailed it.
Wow.
And for the record, in Costa Rica, we are on mission. It is a very different culture than America when it comes to shopping.
Oh,
yes.
The women usually are the ones who go shopping, and the guys in Costa Rica were just
Work.
having a rip.
Yeah.
They're like, "You ready to go shopping, Ryan?" And I was like, "They're not complimenting you, bro. They're ripping." But
Yeah.
you did a great job. You and Collins did an awesome job shopping.
Yeah.
So
Thanks.
it was good. All right, John, what's your highlight?
My highlight was actually going on this trip. I've had experiences going on mission trips to Honduras. I did it for 8 years, but I stopped before COVID. And so getting back into this mindset, because like you guys were saying, when you go to a different country, different culture, different way of doing things, and you're sacrificing a lot of your comfortableness, a lot of your commodities. Actually, if you guys remember, I had the little toilet cover seats. I was passing around to the guys like, hey, this is
Yeah.
for you guys need it. You're not
I
gonna see.
still have mine. It's in my backpack.
So it's just little things like that we're used to seeing in the States or in a first world country that we don't get to see over there, like running water or the sometimes the toilets and the restrooms are like,
Yeah.
man, I don't know how they're hooked together, but so actually my highlight was just going on this trip and allowing God to use me in whichever way. And I think the way he was using me was being a translator. I don't know I was going to be a translator.
Yeah.
before.
he was the best translator.
Yeah,
Him,
you nailed it.
Like,
Yeah.
you
Like
have a lot more
those
patience than me.
those gringos wouldn't have been able to talk to anybody if it wasn't for you. You did awesome.
So that was my highlight, just being open to God using me. And God really kind of, if I had let that mission part of me go to sleep, he woke it up.
Yeah.
And so I'm excited to go more mission trips. And man, there was so much gratitude that I have for all you guys that went to the trip, but also the people that were there. You forget how
Yeah.
we have a lot of things here, and yet we're so unhappy. Yet over there, they have so very few things that's so very happy. They were very grateful for everything that we gave them, but they were just happy and content with what they have.
Yeah.
So that was a highlight for me.
Yeah, I think for me the highlight was the waterfall. Like, so God, it's funny because wherever I go, I always get to do adventure. Like, it doesn't matter if I've been in the Sahara Desert, God will say, go on an adventure. and the waterfall, and we got to hike to it. And that was like, for me, that was a huge highlight. Like God saying, wherever you go, I'm going to let you have an adventure. Even though you're on a mission trip, far away from home, you get to have an adventure today. And I love that part, that God, even on a mission trip where sometimes it wasn't fun at all.
I remember asking you that day after you were soaking wet, covered in sweat. I'm like, you cool that you did that hike this morning? Like, are you still okay with that? And you're like, oh yeah, I'm happy
That
we
was
did
that
that hike. I'm like, you're like dying, sweating, and you're still content. Like, you hiked 2 miles this morning, but you're like, yeah, I'm good. I needed the hike.
Yeah, it was
cool.
beautiful.
Yeah.
So is this typical? You've done tons of missions. Is this kind of typical highlights, or do you see something a little different in the missions that you do?
Well, I mean, being a missionary living residently in the mission country, of course, that is different, I mean, even my wife, she's from Ethiopia. So we actually moved back home for her. And Ethiopia became my home as well. So, I mean, after 20 years, I feel more at home in Ethiopia than anywhere else.
So you get
So, of course, that is different, yes. And being in a crusade evangelist, I mean, I have a big team. I have like 25 employees, and we take our rig with all the sound equipment and everything, and we go out, and I mean, we set up crusades. We do about 5 to 7 crusades a year.
Wow.
Yeah, and
So what would you do with noobs like us? 'Cause that was really Pastor Henry. That was his job there.
Yeah.
He had a bunch of
Oh,
noobs,
he
and he's
dropped
like, "All right, let me put you."
Well,
to
we
work."
wouldn't go because you said he doesn't have AC.
Yeah.
I have a lot of teams. with me.
Theoretically, if we went, what do you think somebody who visit your mission field?
Yeah,
would
I
do?
have a lot of teams with me, and of course, my staff and crew have already set things up. And I maybe just hand you the mic and say something.
I wouldn't be able to translate though in Ethiopian.
They don't speak very much Spanish
Yeah.
over there. Yeah,
That's awesome. That's awesome.
yeah, but I mean that's how we do. We believe in
beautiful.
the power of the gospel and demonstrate with signs, wonders, and miracles.
That's good. That is
Yeah.
good. So this part is the moving moments, because I believe highlights are a little different than a moving moment, because sometimes there's so many highlights in an adventure, but there's just this one moment that locks in your heart for the rest of your life. And like for me, I'll go first. Like for me in Costa Rica, the moving moment was they had a projector in this church. The church was packed with people, and they were singing worship, and I was waiting for the words to pop up on the projector. Not one word. He had the tools to do it. He had a laptop right there. He could have threw the words up there. He didn't put one word on the wall. Everybody in the audience knew the song by heart, and they sang it from their hearts. And as pastor, it just, that blew me away. That ministered to my soul to see people so happy for what God's doing in them, around them, even in poverty, that it just, that was my moving moment in that church that day. And I was so excited. That was for me.
I do believe in this defining moments. I'm thinking of, I mean, to relate to going to a trip. We speak about 37 years ago. We went from Sweden to Poland.
Wow.
That was the time when the communist world were coming down. And I was a young man. I was actually the bus driver of a church group going there. And in a service, the pastor preaching, he said, "You guys go out and pray for people." And I walked over to this 14-year-old girl. She's blind. I put my hands on her and prayed for her. And she started to see.
That's amazing.
That's so good.
That's awesome.
You know what happened to me? I go like, this is my life. I want to
That's it.
commit myself for doing this. And that's what I have done for the last 34 years.
That's awesome. And you die for it.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
When I was a kid, that's what I remember about missionaries. They will literally go. We asked a guy from Africa one time, you could die, and he goes, "I would die for it." And I go, "Yeah, you're serious." Yeah,
I mean, that is serious.
that is serious.
100%. I raised my kids there in Africa,
Yeah.
in Ethiopia. And we have talked about that. In fact, I talked to my daughter today, and we talked about these things. And in my mind, if understand me right, but I have already buried my
Yeah.
my
we're
children.
dead. Yeah.
I have buried my wife. I mean, we have already done all that.
And when he says
You know-
burying, just for your audience who are not Christian, he did not literally. He's talking about spiritually. When
Yes.
you follow Christ, it is a journey to dying to yourself.
Yeah.
And the old you goes down and dies, and God raises up a new you. And it is like Jesus said, take up your cross and follow me, was the best description of come die with me.
Exactly.
And that's what he's talking about, just in case you're worried.
Jesus says, if you lose your life for me and the gospel's sake,
Yes.
you will win.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I love that. All right. Moving moment. Let's go, Ryan Johnson.
Oh man, I didn't have any expectations. Like, it's my first time on a missionary trip.
Yeah.
But the moving moment for me was how humbling it all was. And when, like you were talking about the church, and going to a church and seeing that many people super genuinely happy, worshiping the Lord, just full of the Holy Spirit. And then to see all those people come up forward for prayer,
Oh,
like that's something you don't get to experience every day.
yeah.
And watching these people truly happy, and they
And the
have so
funny part
little.
about them coming up for prayer,
We didn't understand that.
these guys prayed in English for all the Spanish speakers. So it was like praying in tongues for people. It was funny.
Oh yeah, but it was
But it was powerful.
yeah, it was so powerful. I remember that last song too. Like we did English, Spanish,
Oh yeah.
and I remember just I was bawling. Like it was
Yeah.
moving. Like, but that it was just it just put it in perspective how blessed we are here in America, and that was the moving moment for me, was seeing how happy people truly are.
Yeah. That's good.
Yeah.
All right, Ryan. What is the movie?
Man, it's gonna take me. So that little boy Adiel I talked about, it was the next day, and I was like, I want to go check on him, and Ryan wanted to go there, and I don't know if he was showing you the house or painting or something. So we're walking down the street, we're walking to his house, and we turn the corner, and he comes running out of the door, and I pick him up, and he hugs me, and he holds me, and he puts his head on my shoulder, and he's like, Ryan, you know, like, and I think he said "Te amo," or like, because I was like, Jesus loves you, and how do I say that? Yeah, Cristo te amo. And like I was just trying to memorize that and say it to him. I was like, and then I was like, te amo, like I love you. I want him to know that I loved him. And he said it to me, and he just held me, and like he held me like he doesn't have a dad, but like he just held me so tight, and it just brought back like just so many feelings, and so like it just like I'll never forget that feeling. And Ryan actually captured a picture of it, and it's like my favorite moment. And then we went to church that night, and he like came and he found me and he sat on my lap and we worshiped together. And man, I just can't explain it. Like it's the feeling I got. I've been to Costa Rica like 6 times to go surf, and like not one of those times can compare to the feeling I had than when I went with these group of men and we got to serve and get back to the community. It's just, I mean, it's priceless. There's no trip in the world that can just relate to the experience that I had.
Yeah, and I can tell you the way you loved Adiel. He loved you more than he loved the bike you gave him.
Yeah.
You know,
100%.
He was abandoned at 6 months of age by
6
his mother,
months.
and he was taken care of by his aunt, who at the time was only 14. And so conversations with men usually did not happen like how we were hanging around him. That wasn't a normal thing. And so
And he didn't know English. I couldn't conversate. I'm like, I would try to get, but he was just so excited to talk, and we didn't need to know English. Like we just had each other's love for each other, and that's all we needed.
yeah.
And he
just-
followed you around too.
Man, it was so good.
And I just thinking about the scripture, it's so much more blessed to give than to receive.
Oh,
Yeah.
And you were blessed. He was blessed.
100%.
Yeah.
That's really a God thing.
Yeah, I was telling the guy, like I was in surfing in the Maldives 2 weeks before that, and I'm like, I was in one of the prettiest places in the world, and it didn't matter. Like my heart was not full, like when that little boy hugged me the way that he hugged me, and the love I felt with him was like, there's not any trip in the world that I would rather go back and do than go do that and experience that love
Yeah.
for a little boy, or vice versa. You know,
And this is the crazy part. So in that moment, you see yourself, right? And that boy feels Jesus.
yeah.
Sure.
Like that little boy felt the love of Jesus as a father for him, you know? And it's like, that's going to last that kid forever. It's going to last him longer than that bike. That bike, he's going to wear it out. But that moment, I think you're right, man. That was powerful. I watched that.
Yeah.
That was powerful.
And how important it is. I mean, in your story, it tells so much deeper, right? How important it is for a child to grow up with a manly role model,
Yeah.
to have the man in your life.
Yeah.
Every kid. We also have a program for poor children in Ethiopia, and we are trying to bring in some manly things into their family. Most of them, they live with a single mother, and our staff, they come there and be the model of the father, because
That's a challenge right
every child needs that. They
Yeah.
need the feminine, they need the masculine thing in their lives, and if they don't have that, then something lacking.
Yeah.
So you ministered to that boy,
Yeah.
being a father to him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's powerful. All right, John. You're not going to give the secret because we can't talk about what happened in Costa Rica, but you can talk about something else. All right.
So my moving moment happened on Saturday night. It was a service that we were invited to at the end. I was sitting in the front, and I really didn't want to participate in the service as much. Just to give it a context, I've been in a season in my life where I feel like the Lord is restoring me,
Yeah.
in ministry. And to me, always things of the Lord has been very sacred. So I didn't want to really translate in the church.
Yeah.
And so I was there, but I was willing to receive. And towards the end of the service, I mean, I love the worship. I love, man, they were dancing. It was an awesome experience to see that. So toward the end, when they were calling us for us to pray, obviously I knew how to pray in Spanish. And I was sitting in that corner, and all of a sudden, a bunch of kids came up. And I was like, I wasn't going forward or they weren't coming to me, but the pastor's wife goes, hey, pray for these kids. I was like, all right, I'll pray for these kids. Like, the basic generic prayers and, for protection. And I heard two stories. One of the things that, the first kid, his name was Santiago. He asked me to pray for him because at his school 2 months before they had shot somebody and they had killed them, and he had witnessed that.
Oh.
And he had been having trouble sleeping and trouble falling asleep. So he wanted a prayer for that. And so that really moved me to and he must have been 8 or 9 years old, for him to be traumatized by that experience. But yet he knows when he comes to the house of God, God can give him that peace. And so I prayed for him, and I was like ministering to him, and I hugged him. And then there was another young man next to him after I finished praying, and this girl goes, hey, pray for him. And this guy looked like he was like standoffish, like he was 13, and at that age, young men are like going through changes in life, puberty and all that. And so I don't know if he willingly went up there or somebody told him to go there, but he looked like he didn't want to be there.
Yeah.
And so like I said, what do you want to pray for? He goes, whatever. And I'm like, okay. Like, anything specific? It was like, oh, just, like the other kids goes for protection in school and everything. So I start praying for him. And then all of a sudden I backed out. I go, hey, is there something specific? He goes, just pray for my family. So I start praying for his family. And during my prayer was playing, I felt led to pray for his father. And as I was praying for him, he started sobbing. And so I hugged him. And when I hugged him, like he really like hugged me back. And like I broke down because I felt like this little kid or this young man, he is lacking, like you were saying, a father figure in their life. And I've never been drawn to youth ministry. Because for me, youth ministry, like I can't handle all their emotions. Bless you youth leaders who work with young people.
You got to be called.
But in that moment, my compassion went out of him because I had been going through a story. And I mean, we prayed for a long time while he was sobbing. And afterwards, I made sure that whoever youth leader was there would be able to follow up on him because it was important to me. So that was a very moving moment. And I don't know if the Lord's changing my heart toward youth. I don't know if I don't still feel led to youth ministry, but definitely when I go back to Costa Rica, because I'm planning to go back, I do want to focus a little bit on the young men.
Yeah.
It was special. I got to witness that too.
Yeah.
And to watch it moved me for sure.
And you felt the compassion of the
I
Holy
did.
Spirit.
Yeah, I did. I just embraced them. And then we do this thing called the journey. And they talk about the orphan spirit. And an orphan spirit happens mostly when there's an absence of a father figure, a godly father figure.
Yeah.
And you get this spirit where you feel like you don't belong. And then when I talked to him afterwards, he said that his mom goes to church, but his dad doesn't. So I'm like, oh, yeah, there it is.
Yeah, and just bringing up the journey. So the whole reason we got invited is there's this awesome man that is not in this room here today, but his name is Collins Reimer, and he connected with a group from Tulsa, and he knows Pastor Henry. He knows Frank, the Brazilian, Franco. You hear me. And but he invited us, and we were in the same journey group together. And that is how God brought us to this mission field, in that we were able to go and really dive in a different kind of discipleship, because the mission field is not like your home turf. Like the attack is different, the work is different, and I think it builds like a, I don't know how else to describe, like a strengthening in the relationship, being on the mission field together. But Collins, thank you for pulling on our hearts to get us there. And Collins poured his heart out in a big way out there. I mean, the guy, he's not going to want me to say this, but
Say it.
he put furniture in a pastor's house, in a family's house, and yeah,
Several families.
several families' houses. So it was like, and it's not like he wanted to take a picture with every single family he put furniture. He literally moved the old furniture out. People moved furniture in, and you know, he didn't say, "Hey, I bought this for you." Yeah. He was a huge blessing, and it's awesome to witness, because some people that like Ryan Cinder, that's like their gift. You know, they know where to give, and that was powerful to witness. And he was very patient on this mission trip, because we showed up and we the next day had to go 8 to 9 hours in a van together.
Yeah.
It's
It was-
Adrian's favorite.
Yeah, that was my favorite thing of the whole mission, being in a van with a bunch of
Oh, that van felt so bad.
horrible. You know, the food too.
Oh yeah.
So the food was
Amazing.
awesome. Okay, they cooked good food. It wasn't bad.
And even Ryan ate.
Yeah, and they eat, like, I'm Hispanic, we eat rice and beans, but listen, I do not eat rice and beans
Every
3
meal.
meals a day, and I definitely don't mix them with coconut
It was
butter,
good juice, yeah, it
oil,
was
and
good.
juice, and they didn't have any hot sauce. But you want to know a cool miracle that happened? I was walking down the street and I was craving a chili pepper, and I looked to my left and there was a chili pepper. I'm not kidding. On the side of the road, chili pepper plant with 4 chilies, and I was like,
This little.
they were tiny, so I knew they'd be spicy. So I grabbed them, and that was like a little gift from the Lord, saying, I love you, son. You can have some chili peppers. And I gave one to the pastor that was there, because there was like no spicy food there. But
I mean, but
No.
John did bring a fanny pack full
I
of
did.
that was
I got bags of
He was the doctor, the nurse,
the
everything.
doctor, the salsa pro,
Also,
he was ready. He was ready. Well, you want to tell the audience more about what you do. You kind of described what you do in Africa, but what else do you have? The crusades that are happening there. What's something that you see God really doing in your area?
Well, I mean, that's basically what we do. We do the backbone of the ministry. We have actually 2 ministries: is the Family Mercy House and the Joshua Campaign.
Emergency house?
No, Family Mercy House.
Mercy house.
Yes.
Okay. I love that.
The vision that's driven us for so many years, we've been married for 34 years, is to reach the unreached and help the helpless.
Wow.
That's like a two-legged legged vision that's driving us. We are living in that dream. We have 2 organizations, and 25, 26 staff that works with this. With the Joshua Campaign, we do the large-scale outreach crusades, where we see literally millions of people coming to the Lord. We celebrated 25 years in March this year, and when we summarized and down to the core that we know, we have prayed with 5 million people.
wow.
That registered during 25 years.
Wow.
Yes. So the 3 things we focus on is the crusades, it's Bible school, and church planting. So we want to have them saved. That's our primary calling.
Yeah.
We want to educate them in the Bible, in the Word of God, and plug them into a good living church.
Yeah.
You know, that's basically what we do there.
That's awesome. And that's like the core of Jesus ministry too. Like we could go buy them bikes, furniture, we could paint their house, we could do all that stuff. But if they're going to hell, like
In a comfortable chair.
yeah, at least they'll be comfortable, you know.
I
before
mean,
they get
even
there.
with the mercy ministry, I mean, we feed them and we give them a lot of things, but all of that is just tool to show the love of Jesus
Yeah.
Christ.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that. That is good. If somebody wanted to like find your ministry online, how could they do that?
Oh, we have the websites, joshuacampaign.com and familymercyhouse.org.
And so Sunday you had a busy day. How many services did you you had?
I did 4 services down there in the Ontario area.
Yeah. And they can follow your ministry on what platforms?
Basically everywhere. I'm on Instagram. I mean, of course, I'm focusing my name though. I mean, people rather follow a person than an organization.
Yeah.
So my name is Per Akvist, Perakvist. You'll find me on Instagram, on Facebook, and then the ministries are also there, and TikTok and all this.
Okay.
But just search Per Akvist. then
Okay.
you'll
I think
find-
we have your name in the title, so hopefully people can find that.
Okay.
All right, guys. What did it cost you? And we won't talk about money because everybody paid a little different. But what did it cost you to be on mission?
It costs a lot. I mean, you got to leave your family, your wife, your kids. But you gain a lot coming back from that.
Yeah.
But it costs you a lot to do that. But I'm blessed to have a loving wife.
Yeah.
She trusts me and
She
lets
must
me.
be live.
She's watching. I was like, get those brownie points. Good
But
strategy. I like that.
but it does help. It does help to have a good support system.
Yeah.
But it does cost a lot. I mean, you're flying 5 hours away and then driving 8, and then you end up in a country that you've never been to, and you have trouble with food allergies, and you don't like food. So I gotta.
Yeah, if you have I mean, think about it. If you have a
Yeah.
family emergency, I thought about that. Who am I going to call?
Yeah.
You know, to go help my family right now.
You definitely start thinking about other things when you're
Yeah.
there, for sure.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
That is good. All right. What did it cost you, Ryan? Not money wise, okay?
It costs being away. There was a event that occurred when I was gone, and I couldn't be there for it, and it was painful. But because of the group of guys I was with, we were able to get through it. Love you.
Love you.
Yeah. So being gone, is definitely, it's not free,
Yeah.
And again, I have a loving fiance that held the fort down for me,
Yeah.
to say.
It's good.
But worth it, all in all. Like I said, the trip itself, priceless. You can't compare anything.
That's awesome. Juan?
For me, finances were number one, but I think I didn't feel like it cost me much. Just, I guess, obedience. Like, so, to be obedient to go. I was, I could have said no, but what else did I have to do right now? I'm in a season where I'm not currently working actively.
Yeah.
But I would say obedience, because there was a lot of things in that trip that I felt like I was wrestling with the Lord. And I said, I think I said yes to most of them, and I was extremely blessed. One of them being being up there willing to pray for people, and
Yeah.
I got blessed that way. And translating, and also, the thing that happened that all of us know that we're not gonna
We're not going to talk about it. We're not going to talk
That's
about
for another podcast
Another
episode.
Yeah.
But no, it
Something
was
special happened. That's all we're gonna say. We'll
What's
put
the-
that up.
what's the
In a
drink?
year, we'll give you an update of how it goes.
I don't know the drink.
so. But no, just obedience
juice.
and time.
Yeah,
You know, just obedience because everybody, like Ryan was saying, there's always you could be doing something else, but
Yeah.
man, what an experience! What a people so grateful. My brother said that it's better to give than to receive, and sometimes we go. A lot of the mission teams go there with, yeah, we're going to bless some of these people, but we come more blessed. We feel
Oh, yeah.
because of
Your
the
cup is full.
yeah.
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 I definitely want to, you guys just reminded me, I want to thank you guys on Instagram. I put a thing up for Venmo to help pay for part of my mission. I actually took off on that airplane thinking, well, I'm going to have to put that part on a credit card or something, but I'll pay for it somehow. And you guys came through. I mean, even Senor Pepe's came through a restaurant to help promote, so I could go on mission. So by the time I landed in
was
Costa
already-
Rica, it was paid for.
Yeah.
And I was just like, thank you, God. Because if not, I would have been saying, yeah, it cost me. But Collins helped sponsor part of that trip for me to go too, or I wouldn't have gone. Just financially, that was not going to happen. But I think the biggest price was that feeling of knowing like 100% I am on a mission trip and I am not a missionary. And whatever happens at home it's all going to be in God's hand. There's nothing I could do. I can make phone calls if something happens, but God's going to have to handle it. And that did sometimes at night weigh heavy on my mind, that if something happened, my kids or somebody would have to show up, and it would have to be God because it wasn't going to be me. No matter how fast I swim, I wasn't going to make it up there in time.
Trusting in the Lord.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Journey of faith.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. It was a beautiful trip, though. Pastor, you want to close us out with a thought on missions? Like, if there's anybody out there that wants to go on a mission trip to Ethiopia or Costa, what do you think needs to be the process? Like, where does their heart need to go so that they can get to that place?
Well, practically, first of all, get a passport.
Yes.
Be ready.
Yes, you need a passport.
That's very important.
Ryan actually got one really quick.
Yeah, he did.
I met many friends in America. They don't even have a passport.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yes, I do think, and listening to you guys, I mean, my heart rejoicing because it's so enriching in life to come out and widen your thoughts, your life views, and everything.
Yeah.
And you get very thankful for where you're coming from.
Yeah.
And I think you should start seriously praying for that. What can you do? I believe everyone, each and everyone, can give a contribution somehow to the outside world, so to say. If you go, if you give money, or if you pray, I mean, all of that is so valuable.
Yes.
And just being aware that there are people out there in so many other nations that doesn't have everything we have. Some places doesn't even have access to the Bible.
Yeah.
So we can do, it's an ocean of opportunities, what we
good.
can do. If you have a willing heart, God can open up any door for you.
That's good. So if you're out there, you heard him. Just have your heart open to it. And my closing thought on this too was when we were at the airport, I kind of took some time alone. I said, okay, God, what do you want me to learn? I'm going on this mission. What did I learn, Lord? And he said, would you die? Would you die here? And I go, I would die because you told me to come here. Yes, I would die for where you send me. And then he goes, what would you die for? What's the mission? What's the ministry? And I remember clear as day, he reminded me about what life purpose is, and that is to raise up an army of men that will radically transform this world with the love of Jesus. And I would die for that anywhere. And that was the biggest, like, because missions do that. They remind you that you could die somewhere,
Sure.
but are you doing what you were made to do? All right, guys. Any other closing thoughts? You guys got anything?
Hashtag Battle Bros.
Hashtag Battle Bros. Yeah, these are Battle Bros for sure. But
I just want to echo what brother said about, sometimes you don't have to go on a mission trip, but the other ways of contributing. Prayer was big. I think we were covered in prayer.
Oh, definitely.
gosh.
Our trip was covered in prayer. Some of us, I still have a phobia of flying, so every time,
No
Right there
distance in
with you.
prayer.
no, this is in prayer. And contribute financially. When I used to go to my Honduras mission trips, people can't go, but they'll send money to you towards projects because they know that's what their gifting is. So
Yeah.
don't think you actually have to go on a mission, because there's a lot of churches that have missionaries they support. That's big, covering for
Yeah.
missionaries in prayer, supporting them financially, especially during these times, where things could get a little bit tough. Because should I give to missions this year or not, or this month or not? But I think what God tests our faith in those little things. We live sometimes based on the economy of the world, but as believers, we're in Jesus. We're in the kingdom's economy,
Yep.
and that operates a whole way different.
Yes,
Like
it
your
does.
story about you put your Venmo thing out there, and then you got there, boom, it was covered. Lord said, "I take care of it."
yeah,
Hey,
Yeah, that's
I
wild.
haven't had a job in 35 years.
that's awesome.
That's living by faith.
Yeah, he's on the mission field.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Thank you for watching. We'll post this later so you can rewatch it, share it with your friends. I hope you guys have a blessed day.